Now we review the 2024 film Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Oh, they're so hairy. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I have just seen Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and to premise this, I never saw any of the other. Is that an airplane? Or a car? I never saw any of the other Apes movies in this particular series. I have seen Planet of the Apes, the original Charlton Heston. I have read the book Planet of the Apes, and that's as far as I go. I never took an interest because I've always thought this was a little on the dumb side. And yeah, I mean, it's you start with a chimpanzee named Noah, and Noah winds up encountering a human, and this human is being pursued by another group of apes, and these apes show up and kill or capture Noah's tribe, and his tribe is then, enslaved to open a door. It's weird. And Noah is left out, so he's trying to save his tribe, and he runs into the human and an orangutan. And here's one of the big glaring issues with this movie for me. I mean, look, it's visually stunning. The characters are real unless you put them against the real thing. And compared to, real orangutans and such, these characters don't look very convincing. But, orangutans and gorillas are harem-keeping animals. So an orangutan would have the big male is the orangutan that we don't see really in media. In media, the bigger male, he has cheek pouches, he's twice the size of a female, and the females are smaller, and the male protects the females from other males and dangerous animals, and the male has a harem. He has several females that he breeds with. The same thing with the mountain gorillas, and so forth. So the chimpanzees are a little more monogamous, not like super monogamous, but they're far more monogamous than than humans and the other large apes. So that's not depicted in this film, and it's kind of a big thing. It's like, okay, you see this lone elderly orangutan, but he should have a tribe because orangutans are far more dependent on their tribe than chimpanzees. But okay, I don't know how common it is to find these people alone in the woods. Before I forget, let me remind you that for every 1,000 subscribers I get, I do purchase one of these bracelets from 4Ocean. 4Ocean pulls a pound of trash out of the ocean every time I do that. Now, this story features, as I said, there's Noah, the eagle tribe, and then there's a Proximus Caesar, all right, who is a gorilla the one who wants to open the door. He who wants to open, because he's basically trying to gain the secrets of man. If you were to compare him to a character from the Jungle Book, he's the orangutan king. And that's one of those things. He wants to, because he believes that in there are the secrets of the human race, which part of the problem here is that where did everything go? Because they're shown in the Griffith Observatory in this movie. So they're in the heart of Los Angeles. Even in 300 years, there would still be a lot of Los Angeles left. And I mean, it's like, for years I lived across the street from a gun nut. And the gun nut had a safe full of guns, and he had the ability to reload. So, if they're looking for these like weapons and things, you would see a lot more scavenging of human objects even 300 years later, rather than manufacturing of your own objects. This is just one of those things that would happen if society fell, is you would have like old water bottles being used for things, and styrofoam cups and whatever have you, you would probably see weapons made out of pipes and so on and so forth. You would not see a society returning to the rural, primitive stick age. You would see them scavenging what they can from the human undergrounds, from the because society still existed. It didn't vanish, and from what I understand, there was not a nuclear war that destroyed all the technology. But here it is, 300 years after the death of Caesar, apparently. Human society has become a myth, and there are all these biological freaks that don't follow the rules of their own nature. There's the gorilla and his gorilla guards, but so where are the female gorillas is the big question for me. They would be somewhere. He would have a harem. He would have children. Those guards would probably be his sons. And there would be reasons for what he was doing. It's just one of those things. And again, why can't the apes read is not explained. But apparently there are humans who can read in this world. There are humans who are mute in this world. I'm told that's because of a virus. And, so on and so forth. Just understand another thing about human biology. There are people who have survived what we call a hemispherectomy. That is where half of the brain is actually removed to prevent seizures. And the rest of the brain tends to take over in that instance and compensate for the missing components. So we've even seen very basic areas of the brain missing, and human beings who we really couldn't tell when they were adults. So if there is a virus that could destroy human speech, it would pretty much have to attack the vocal cords, not the brain. Because if you were born without Broca's area, the area of the brain designed for human speech, you would probably be able to adapt and still use those vocal cords to make sound. The larynx is essentially a muscle. It's moved like a muscle, so that would still be there. So this is kind of the problem with me. Now, let's just roll all that up and set it aside. What you have here is an adventure movie. I need to get my family back. Love those kinds of movies. One of the bigger problems with this movie, of course, probably the reason why you added the orangutan character, is it's hard for you to tell who's who. All right? For me it is anyway. It's like, okay, there's the one that's his mom, and, most of the time she's just a naked ape. So you see crowds of naked apes, and you're not really seeing, anyone distinguishing them. And it's harder for me to grasp onto the characters and to know who is who. I got the concept that these are his family members, but the individual family members sort of faded into the darkness for me, and that was a negative. I don't know how orangutans would be more differentiated unless they decided to wear clothing, and if they're spinning their clothing, that clothing would be very unique to the individuals. Maybe they would have tattoos or some kind of other marking, or maybe they would even dye their fur at a certain point. These are all possibilities. But that was kind of the shortcomings of this film for me. Beyond, the action sequences are fine. The idea that all that technology would be working the way it does after 300 years. They have shipwrecks that look like they're 100 years old. Okay, but it's hard to imagine a 300-year-old metal shipwreck because most of the I don't think we had metal ships 300 years ago, if we did, we had very few of them, and unless the wrecks are in very cold water, they wouldn't stand up. It's just the shipwreck scenes seem a little like it was designed for something. Why would you be living in the shipwreck? It doesn't make sense. This would be a terrible place to live, and it would probably suck. Whereas there would probably be human buildings left, not necessarily skyscrapers or homes like mine. My house is made out of wood without proper maintenance. the roof would collapse within, a few decades or so, and the walls would rot away. So that's true. But, there are industrial buildings like slab construction buildings, which should still really be around. And I mean, the best building material you're going to have in this particular environment is stone. And then the other thing is, what allowed human beings to conquer the world was farming. Okay? We can grow our own food, we can store our own food. We're not hunter-gatherers anymore. And that makes us far more powerful. So, yeah, look, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes has a lot wrong with it from a logical standpoint. I know that you push that aside, and I'm not a fan of this franchise, so I don't have the investment that most of you do. If you're a fan of the Kingdom of the Apes films, you're probably going to enjoy this a lot more than I was. If you've seen them, if you know Caesar and the lore of Caesar, then you're going to like this film more than I am. I mean, the ape in here is made himself not into a Caesar, but into a religious leader. I don't know if Caesar did that. I think maybe he was a philosopher. I don't know. But he's basically, he's a politician. He's a modern politician who's a fascist, and he's getting people to believe what he says based on things that aren't true. And it really feels a little Mad Max in this movie, which honestly it should have been a little more Mad Max, because in Mad Max you see people scavenging up whatever they can find to make weapons and vehicles, and that's what would be going on in here. I mean, I don't think there'd be a car still running after 100 years, but there would be something that you could salvage. There would be things like glass and metal and all sorts of things like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's a movie that brings up a lot of questions logically, and if you can get past those, it's a fine movie. I just can't get past those. So for me, I put this in the lower half of your watch list. It's getting pretty good ratings, though, so I would then bump that up to the middle of your watch list. If you're into these films, go watch it. If you've seen the other films, you should probably watch this movie. If you haven't gotten into the series by now, this will not get you into it. Anyway, just my opinion. Love to hear yours. Comments below. I'm Richard.
Greetings, humans! It's your old pal Randall the Rat again, and I'm taking a break from eating your delicious face to remind you to comment, like, and subscribe. And why should you do that? Well, for one thing, see this bling here? That awesome, isn't it? Yeah, got a dragon on it. This is what you get if you go to the Conqueror and start the Great Wall of China Challenge. Yeah. Walk long enough, bike long enough, you can plant 5 trees and get this awesome necklace, which the owner of this channel, Richard, has done for you, because he wanted to plant 5 trees and get an awesome necklace. And for every 1,000 subscribers he gets, he also buys a bracelet from 4Ocean, and they pull a pound of trash out of the ocean. So the more money he has, the more of these challenges he buys from the Conqueror, and the more trees he plants for you. So if you comment, you like, and subscribe, he can buy more bracelets, pull more trash out of the ocean, and plant more trees. Isn't that awesome? Shouldn't you be doing that then? Be smart. Click that like button, or I'll eat you. Might eat you anyway. You look delicious.